Good morning. This is Pegeen talking to you about sales because it's Tuesday and it's Sales Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about something really important, which is that negotiation really begins before the sale ever begins. Too often I see people going into a sales environment and they haven't really prepared. So when the time for negotiation comes, you don't know where you can go. And sometimes our emotions and our fear or our elation at closing the deal makes us make really, just bad negotiation deals. And bad for ourselves, right? Because you're in business so that you can make money, so you feel good, so you could do the work that you want to do and serve the world through your expertise and your influence and your impact. So I want to go over 4 steps that I know that are really important before you go into the negotiations, before you even go into the sales process. And I'm going to tell you that the higher the sale, the more prepared you have to be for this. So first things first is before you go anywhere is you have to know your offers. Too often we don't write down what our offers are. We're not clear of what we're offering that particular client and what the A plan is, and then what is the B plan. So you want to know your offers. What is it? What are you giving for the fee that you want? It's really important that you know your offers and have it written out so that when you're talking to people, you can be clear about what you're offering at this particular time for that particular customer. It is that important to know your offers. Now you're going to say, of course I know my offers. It's my business. Well, actually, a lot of times people don't know what their offers are because they haven't spent the time to really think through it. If you're like most business people, you're doing a lot of things. You're doing from leadership, operations, logistics, sales, working with stakeholders in your business. You're doing marketing, you're doing pitching, you're doing publicity. So you're doing so many things, and we're human. We can forget our process of what offer are we focusing on now with this particular customer. So you want to have your offers very clear, written down, so that when you're talking to someone, you have everything in front of you that you need to be able to educate them, encourage them, and inspire them to do business with you. So number 1 is to know your offers. Number 2 is to know your bottom line, no matter who they are. So sometimes you want to work with a particular client and you get so eager and so excited that you literally give away everything. And sometimes they even ask you to do it for free and you say yes without really thinking through what is it that you want? What is your bottom line? Listen, I've done it where I want to help somebody out and I'll go, oh yeah, I'll do it for free, but I don't really think through what is it that I want out of this experience? What do I want in terms of a list or a recognition or a promotion for 6 months? The more I think about it is that there's so many things you could ask for when it's something for free. And I know within some of our groups, we have put those things there for you. So make sure you know what your bottom line is. I'm not going to do this for free until I get that. This is especially true when you get some of these contracts that they're asking you to sign and they want to take everything from you, but they're not giving you anything. You really need to know what your bottom line is. The other part about your bottom line is to know that number. You know what the costs are to be able to get, you know what the costs are to deliver the goods. You know what you will pay yourself to deliver that experience. You know what you would pay yourself if you're the producer of the event. Make sure you have your numbers there so that you know what your bottom line is no matter what. And that leads me to number 3, which is know your numbers, to really know your profit margins and your costs. Too often we don't calculate the cost of operating your business into what we're selling. So, for instance, I'm talking to you through StreamYard. I paid for this. And yes, it's part of my operating costs. It's not for my client, but I have to consider that part of the cost that I have to deal with is paying for things that in order for me to get the gig. So I'm going to think about those costs. I'm going to think about what it costs for me to be sitting and talking to that particular person or producing the experience. What are all those costs? And then knowing, so what's the profit margin? Is it 2 times whatever the cost is? Is it 4 times whatever the cost is? Is it 1 time? You have to know what those numbers are. So before you even begin negotiating, you know where your profits are. You're in business. You're supposed to be making money. You're supposed to be making profits. It would be good for you to know your numbers. And then finally is to know your cash flow. Know when you have to wiggle. So if you don't know how much cash is coming in the next month, for instance, then what ends up happening is you may be cutting off an opportunity to bring in cash into your company through that short sales, right? And so if you're not thinking about your cash flow, if you're not thinking about what do we have in the next month, because then you could have, if you're short in your cash flow, you can have a sale so that you can bump up your cash flow, even if at that particular moment your profit margins may be a lot lower. When you need cash, you need to do what you need to do to get cash into your business. So in order to do that, you have to know your cash flow. So negotiation always begins before the sale ever begins. This is all prep work that you need to do before you even make the phone call to start the sale. And that is that you need to know your offers. You need to know your bottom line. You need to know your numbers. Oh my God, look at that. I spelled that incorrectly. Sorry about that. You need to know your cash flow. You need to know. And if you don't know, you need to figure out how it is. I'm trying to figure out, sometimes when you're working, at least for me, I will type something that's not what I want to type. So let me just change that to know your numbers, know your profit margins, and know your costs. Know your cash flow and know what you want. So that's all I have to say to you today. Make sure that you prepare your negotiation before the sales ever begins. See you later.